Next up, we got the New York Knicks, who lost Jalen Brunson in that same exact game against the Orlando Magic. Knicks lose Jalen Brunson, and they watched him walk out in a walking boot and crutches. And this one was tough because Jalen Brunson, with this injury in particular, this is the same ankle that he sprained last season that forced him to sit out 15 games. Actually, the report from ESPN says it was initially termed as a 2-week injury, but he sat out an additional time period before returning for the playoffs. He seemed to aggravate the ankle injury a couple of times in the first round, but appeared otherwise unbothered by it during New York's run to the Eastern Conference Finals. The loss to the Magic ended the Knicks' 5-game winning streak and was their first defeat at home after starting the season 7-0. And in that game, by the way, the Orlando Magic were absolutely whooping on the Knicks. In the first half, Jalen Brunson scored 16 points in the first half. The rest of the New York Knicks scored 26 in the first half. So 42 points in the first half, and basically about a third of those points came from Jalen Brunson by himself. And for further context, this was a game where the Knicks lost 124 to 107. So without the heroics of Jalen Brunson in the first half to even keep things competitive, this Knicks team could have been beat down even worse at MSG on national television and lose their superstar in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. Watching now a situation where, as a team that's been so oriented around giving Jalen Brunson the ball, letting him cook, and having defenders and three-point shooters around him, the issue now is that if he has to miss significant time, the worry becomes who is going to be their real consistent shot generator on a night-to-night basis. Shoot, even on a possession-to-possession basis. Because they haven't really, even with what Mike Brown has instituted coming over from, the Sacramento and the Golden State Warrior background that he has in recent memory, coaching behind those guys, he's implemented a ball moving system that's allowed guys to get more incorporated. Yes, they're one of the top offenses in the league. I believe they're top 8 in scoring right now. But that's with the fact that Jalen Brunson takes so much of the brute offensively as a guy who still commands so much respect. He gets to the free throw line at a high clip. He's somebody that is a danger around the paint, as someone you have to respect as a driver. And so you take all of those elements away, and now you have to ask yourself, who is the next real primary ball handler you can trust to initiate offense on a regular basis? Are you going to start running Mikal Bridges at point forward? Do you give more minutes to someone like Miles McBride? Is this a situation where maybe you have to lean more onto your bench with guys like you acquired Jordan Clarkson and Yabusele, and you have to make up for the lack of offensive production at that one spot by getting more of a burst from your bench, offensive centric guys? Like I said, Clarkson and Yabusele, they tend to be more offensive first guys that can kind of help put points on the board. They've been kind of slow to start this season, but I think there's always an opportunity to kind of maximize this kind of situation for a bench player where they know that they have to step up because they have to, because of the fact that a star player is missing, and it puts more of the onus on them now because it's next man up. The New York Knicks are in a really interesting situation here because, again, if we're going to use the precedent for what this injury was last time, which again, for context, grade 1 right ankle sprain. He's going to miss the game tonight against the Miami Heat as of when this episode is going to be uploaded. And more so, the injury looked bad enough where if he missed 15 games last season, and granted they were taking into consideration also trying to preserve him for the postseason, I would also say with it being so early in the regular season that they may want to actually pace him now the same way they did then. So even though it's not nearly as urgent as back then to kind of preserve him, it might be in their best interest for him even to preserve him, where maybe he sits another 15 games, maybe he sits 15, 20 games. But then you have to ask yourself on top of that, can the New York Knicks afford it? Can the New York Knicks truly afford it? They've had the cushion of being able to be highly effective at home. Again, 7-0 at MSG before that game against the Orlando Magic. But the biggest thing that kind of stands out though is they also had a very home heavy schedule to start the season. Again, 7 home games to kick off the season, and they've played 11 games. Next up on their schedule with Jalen Brunson out, they go to after playing the Miami Heat at home, they go to Miami, to Dallas, to Orlando, to Brooklyn, and to Charlotte. And granted, I know Dallas is in shambles right now. I know that Orlando's trying to find themselves offensively, and of course, we just talked about the fact that Paulo Banchero is out. I don't think that Paulo's gonna miss that game. That's all the way next Saturday. I don't think Paulo's gonna miss that. So that's a big time Eastern Conference matchup on the road. The Brooklyn Nets probably is a gimme game, but the Hornets are not a team to sleep on this year. Those three rookies and Sion James, Ryan Kalkbrenner, and Colin Kneppel have all been playing really, really good basketball. Shoot, two of them are top five in the Rookie of the Year ladder right now. So those are 5 games on the road with three Eastern Conference teams you genuinely have to put some respect on. Miami, Orlando, and Charlotte, all three teams that have been really solid this year, regardless of what their record says, because the production on the floor shows sign of growth. Desmond Bane hit a big time shot against Portland that I think is going to turn their season around, like I mentioned in the last segment. For a team like Miami, they've been the best offense in the NBA with guys like Jaime Jaquez, Simone Fontecchio, even Andrew Wiggins. Some have made the argument that he's having an even better year this season than he had in his All-Star year with Golden State. So that's a team you have to respect. And as I mentioned beforehand, you also have the Hornets. Not to mention, even after that road stint, that 5 game road stint you got the Milwaukee Bucks right after that. Right after that, the Friday after Thanksgiving. I wouldn't be too thankful for that personally. So they're in an interesting stretch here. They built a bit of a cushion for themselves by being so dominant at home, but now that they have this heavy road stretch, if Jalen Brunson is set to miss significant time, especially if it's up to 15 games or more like it was last time that he faced this injury, this puts the New York Knicks in a really tough position because they could mess around and be like a 500 ball club by the end of November. And that's not a great place to be when you're a team that came into the season with such high expectations.